All right, thank you for staying with us. It's a new chapter for the United Kingdom as a new monarch, King Charles III, takes over. Large crowds gathered to witness the Queen's final journey home as she was laid to rest at the Royal Vault in St. George's Chapel. King Charles III becomes the 13th British monarch since the Act of Union and 41st English ruler since William the Conqueror. But His Majesty's ascension comes at a time of seismic change for the UK, as the vast majority of citizens have only ever known one monarch. Although the king had taken up royal duties as the heir to the throne in past years, his new position as new king comes with greater responsibilities, which he has promised to fulfill to the best of his ability. Well, joining us via Zoom to discuss the task ahead, King Charles III is the Nigeria High Commissioner to the United Kingdom, Ambassador Sharafa Tunji-Ishola. Good morning. Thank you for joining us on TVC Breakfast.
Good morning, viewers. Good morning, TVC. Thank you for having me this morning.
All right, let's begin with the laying to rest of the Queen Elizabeth II. I wonder what you make or how you will describe how Britain, the United Kingdom, basically celebrated or marked her royal death.
Well, like I said earlier yesterday somewhere, that the Queen was greater in death because since her demise up to interment yesterday, you can see that the world attention shifted to London. All the major news outlets all over the world, China, CGTN, CNN, all other media, they relocated practically to Buckingham Palace. Aside from that, the British government practically honored her. There was cessation of politicking. In addition to that, including our own leader, can describe the Queen as a phenomenon.
Ambassador, I say High Commissioner, could you please tell us what you observed that many people are not really aware of in the course of this event?
Well, the issue is the way the king has started managing the royal family since he assumed duty is such that one can see some kind of modernity. For example, during his ascension, which is usually not a public affair, but this time around it was giving some kind of publicity. In addition to that, by allowing the members of the royal family to come together, he provided leadership the last 1 week, which is something that is very commendable, given the kind of challenges that were inherent in that family, which are known to members of the public. But the way the king has managed it is such that the family remain united. And, I have no doubt in my mind that he has started on a very good note, and with support from all institutions around the monarchy, from royalty to government to Commonwealth. King Charles III will make a success of his throne.
Ambassador Ishola, for a queen that was said to have been the thread that united the UK Union, basically, how do you see King Charles III, playing that role now?
Well, many people may not have noticed before the exit of the Queen the Queen relocated to Windsor, leaving Buckingham Palace activities a lot to the then Prince of Wales. The Clarence House, which happened to be the official residence of the Prince of Wales, then was usually a beehive of activities. I still recall vividly the eve of the Commonwealth. Some Commonwealth countries here were invited, had some sessions, and from there, some programs of Commonwealth, particularly Sustainable Market Initiative, were discussed. So within that period of slowing down, the Queen undoubtedly delegated responsibilities to King Charles III, and that's why we're having a kind of smooth transition. What is important in any organization is the institutional support. And if the monarchy, the royal family, the government of Britain, and the Commonwealth extend the same support to King Charles III, I know that he will be successful. In addition, is having the Prince of Wales now, Prince William, who happened to be a much younger person, performing the role of former role of his father, and they'll be able to connect with the youth. The challenges all over the world now, whether you're talking of conflict, exuberance, drug addiction, and the rest of it, are real youth issues. And I know that Prince Williams will be able to connect with the youth and support King Charles in that direction.
Now, still speaking on this matter, we know that Prince William has inherited the title Prince of Wales, and it sparked some sort of debate because people are saying that it undermines Wales' status as a country and a nation and its own rights, and that is still smacks of oppression, so to speak.
Well, the issue is, we live in a free world whereby opinions are free. But to the best of my knowledge, when the king visited Wales, he was well received, and they loved him. He was very much at home, and that will not change. But people are free to comment and express their opinion. Like I said, the royal family is an institution. Whatever challenges that arises will be resolved. That is the essence of leadership.
Now, the king is now the lord of the manor, as it were. Give us some snippets about what you know in your interaction with him since you assumed the office as High Commissioner.
Well, in the garden party of this year, the Queen usually organizes a garden party. The essence of that garden party is to bring all shades of people together, the low, the high, the mighty, the common people, and they were always carefully selected, and people who have impacted, on Britain, one issue or the other. It's usually done every year. And the garden party is in about three batches. The Prince of Wales then, now King Charles, interacted. We usually go around the invitees, and in the course of discussion on that occasion, he asked after President Muhammadu Buhari, which means they have a personal relationship. And in addition, he spoke about the Green World Project, which is the afforestation project. In actual fact, just 2 days ago at King Charles' reception, I mentioned the Green World Project, and lo and behold, he said yes, the Chad Basin project, that he's going to pay attention to it. In addition to that, sustainable market initiative, which was discussed at Clarence House before the Commonwealth, was also an issue I attracted his attention to in the 1 or 2 minutes opportunity that I had to interact with him at Buckingham Palace 2 days ago. At Clarence House, Nigeria was invited to speak on the Sustainable Market Initiative. Was a keynote speaker in Kigali. The invitation of the Prince of Wales then. Where under the private sector all over the world were invited to take a front stage in COP activities. It was discovered that from COP1 to COP26, it's been the public sector. And the way the world is now, it's not the world whereby regulators will always take the stage. The operators play significant roles in the lives, in the socio-economic activities of the people of the world. And it is the belief of King Charles that the private sector must be also mainstream into the COP program. So in COP27, I look forward to a situation whereby the agenda setting put up. So looking at the Green World Project and the Sustainable Market Initiative and National Conservation Foundation that's been set up by King Charles' father, Prince Philip, he will be an environmentalist. And the climate change challenges that we have in this world, I have no doubt, will be his main focus. But, like I said, he will be supported by all the institutions that supported the coin, because yes, every man will be in a position to provide leadership, but without institutional support, no matter the wisdom, no matter the readiness to provide leadership, success will be determined by the extent of support that you get from institutions around you.
Well, the king is largely seen as one with strong views about, global subjects. You spoke about, environment, for instance, and the king's affinity with this subject, where he stands, is also renowned, as against the expectations that the monarch is or should be, ceremonial, more diplomatic. Now that he is directly heading the Commonwealth of Nations, how do you see that impacting his leadership now, especially with growing calls that the British royalty's relations with the Commonwealth should be modernized now?
Well, I think the call is not only about the British monarch relationship. The Commonwealth will definitely need to be repositioned, because the vision now is such that the Commonwealth is gradually leaving its corner. It used to be largely British colonies, but just at the last meeting, Kigali, you have Togo. We had Togo, which will be in the 56th country of the Commonwealth. So some non-British colonies are joining. But the focus will definitely have to be rejigged. But the issues on the front burner will still remain the same. Getting countries who will subscribe to democratic struggle, and those countries should be based on democracy, rule of law, equity, justice, and fairness. That will still go on. A lot of those institutions, a lot of those countries really run on British curriculums, which means in terms of educational programs, Commonwealth scholarship, that will still go on. We have the Commonwealth Games, which is the sporting activities uniting the Commonwealth, the last one taking place in Birmingham this year. We also have the Commonwealth Youth Program. We have the Royal Commonwealth Society, which is largely individual organizations and societies all over the world. That also is also. We have so many agencies under the Commonwealth that definitely will be rejigged to reposition it along with the vision of the Commonwealth and in synergy with the vision of the King.
do you think he will get that needed support from these nations of the Commonwealth? Because there are some undertones of aggrieved persons speaking, or nations rather speaking, with regards to what perhaps the British or the monarchy did to some nations of the Commonwealth, that what it is doing so far with all of the programs you have mentioned is not enough to repay or bring some sort of closure for what they took from these nations. Do you think that King Charles will be able to galvanize that support he needs and also ensure that he brings some closure, put further some perhaps program that will, pacify some of these nations?
Well, sometimes we must appreciate that joining Commonwealth, it's just the wish of individual country. There's no compulsion in joining Commonwealth. We've had people who have joined in the past. We have people who have exited in the past. So sometimes people confuse the Commonwealth with the British government. Whatever issues that are raising, either out of colonialism, out of slavery, it's not really a monarchy issue, it's a government issue. And the conversation around these issues and many other issues has always been ongoing. The late MK Abiola championed the struggle on reparations there. So many topics around this will be a continuous effort. What is important is the advantage that each country will get in the synergy, which is the Commonwealth. By coming together, countries who subscribe to what the Commonwealth stands for, each country has a lot to benefit from the Commonwealth. And that will be the motivation to remain. And if you see the outpouring of messages to the Queen, the way a lot of the leaders of the world responded to the funerals, given the fact that the UN General Assembly is ongoing, a lot of the leaders were in Buckingham Palace, whether in the Arab nation, Europe, Africa, the Commonwealth generally, the African leaders, for example, were present on that occasion. So I believe that the benefit that the Commonwealth gives, which goes beyond talking about reparation and all these inequities of the past, will be the attraction. This will not stop the conversation from going on at a different level. Definitely not at Commonwealth. You will recall that the Commonwealth of countries were just 12 when the Queen assumed position. But she was able to grow it to 56. So that will just tell you that it's voluntary entry and voluntary exit. And Commonwealth does not stand as an institution whereby the issue of colonialism will now be the dominant issue. That will happen through another platform, definitely not through Commonwealth.
I understand that the king is planning a trip to Nigeria. What is the truth to it and what is it about?
Well, within the monarchy, the king and other members of the royal family will be mourning next 1 month. And if we go by the tradition is the coronation usually takes place 1 year after the demise of the predecessor. But it depends on king to either follow the tradition or is also at liberty to change it and bring it forward. But until the coronation is done, I don't see a situation whereby the king will travel out of UK for now.
All right. We must leave the conversation here now. Thank you so much, Nigeria High Commissioner to United Kingdom, Ambassador Sharafa Tunji-Ishola. Thank you for your time on the program.
Thank you for having me.